Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our panel, Racing Against the Clock, Accelerating Indonesia's Digital Transformation. I'm Nadia Habibi, and I'm honored to be moderating today. Indonesia is at a point in digital transformation with 80% internet penetration. We have the foundation for a tech-driven economy, but success depends on how we leverage technology for inclusion, innovation, and competitiveness. Today, we face major challenges, both domestically and globally. Cybersecurity risks, weak data governance, and infrastructure gaps that could turn digitalization into a liability. Limited investment, low digital literacy, as various industries face difficulties keeping pace with evolving technology. And last but not least, rising global competition in disruptive tech, increasing the digital divide and Indonesia's risk of dependency on major tech powers. So the key question is the tech industry ready for it to further itself, including supporting the Golden Indonesia 2045 mission? How can the government, private sector, and academia collaborate better so that they can ensure digital transformation is sustainable and inclusive? We have an incredible panel of experts today, but before I introduce them, I'd also love to share with you why this conversation is personal to me. So before joining the family portfolio, I used to work in Zendit, a fintech unicorn, for 4 years. And I was a 32nd employee and left when it was 800 people old. So you could say that I enjoyed the golden era of tech, and I also saw new risks emerge from digitalization. So I want to understand today how we can ensure digital transformation benefits everyone. Now, without further ado, let me introduce our panelists today. We have Bapak Wilson Cuaca, a pioneer in Indonesia's digital economy, backing over 300 startups, including Ruang Guru, Zendit, Ware6, IDN, Katadata, and Sociola, through East Ventures, the most active investor in Southeast Asia. We have Bapak Pandu Syahrir, a key player in Indonesia's digital economy, backing major tech firms like Gojek, Sea Limited, and Bukalapak, while championing financial inclusion. Ibu Neneng Gunadi leads Grab Indonesia, driving digital inclusion, workforce upskilling with over 25 years of experience in tech and consulting. Please come to the stage. Dr. Lee Xiaodong is a global expert in internet governance and digital economy policies, shaping China's digital landscape as founder of Fuxi Institution and former ICANN vice president. And last but not least, Dr. Byung Joon Han, or Dr. BJ, is a semiconductor industry leader with 300 plus patents, advancing digital infrastructure through his work with AT&T, Bell Labs, IBM Research, and Silicon Box. Thank you, everyone. Let's please be seated. And now that we've set the stage, let's jump into the conversation. But before we head into deeper discussions, let's also ask something a little bit lighter. And I know the time is very limited. We have 5 panelists, so let's keep it short and speedy, but also still fun. All right, so the first question serves as an icebreaker, because we also want to show you that digital transformation is exciting and fast-moving. So to Bapak Wilson, having backed over 300 startups, you've seen firsthand how Indonesia's digital ecosystem has evolved. If you had to describe Indonesia's digital transformation in just one word, what would it be and why?
Thank you, Nadia. I did this a lot to my company. I asked them to elevator pitch me. Give me one sentence of your product. That's it. But you asked me to say one word. It's even harder. Yeah. I think the keyword will be lucky. Why? Let me explain. 16 years ago, when we started East Ventures, there's no one doing anything in Indonesia. There's no such thing called digital ecosystem. But we developed a thesis, and I have to say lucky because we get no help from the government. Unlike other parts of the world, probably government has been actively doing that. We only having a blind faith that something going to happen in Indonesia if we can develop a right thesis. So the thesis is very simple, internet, and then we start investing. We're lucky to invest so many companies in Indonesia, and it has been touch daily life of every one of us, from some of the simple application, marketplaces, travel, education. We invest a lot agnostically Why? Because we think that there's so many problems in Indonesia. And the thesis that we develop is very simple. As long as the tech able to bring the product cheaper and make the life more efficient, faster, we will invest. And as of today, if you notice, Indonesia has been one of the most vibrant tech ecosystem in the region. Not only supported by a huge domestic market, but we're able to attract a lot of foreign investment, including a lot of talent development. Yeah. So in Indonesia, you have to be a pragmatic dreamer. You have to be very pragmatic, but at the same time, you have to dream that where it goes. So that is the experience so far.
Thank you very much. So the word is lucky, right? Because of our market as well. And maybe on to Bapak Pandu. Indonesia's digital transformation has accelerated rapidly in the past decade. From your tech investment experience, what's the most surprising or unexpected digital adoption trend you've seen?
Every year it changes. I would say for this year, quietly, loudly but quietly, has been the strong adoption of AI within a lot of the banks, which is massive. A lot of adoption in consumers. And interestingly, it also makes a lot of the tech conglomerates to come, for example, Buneneng's company, to become more nimble and more efficient. It's actually fascinating when you talk to banks, right? I think they're the largest investor today into the fintech space. So BCA, I think, spend about close to 300, 400 million per annum. The three Himbara banks or the state banks, probably close to 700 million in fintech. You know, the big issues that they're facing is actually on digital security. And there's two things. One is offensive to get more customers, being able to cross-sell them more. But more importantly is on the back end, on the defensive side, because the AI too has developed so fast that cybersecurity today is probably the most fascinating place of investment and also opportunity. So the adoption by B2B players have been faster than I thought this past year.
Thank you very much. And actually, a very good transition for the next theme, because we'll be talking a little bit about cybersecurity risks as well. So we've heard here digital transformation is accelerating, but rapid growth also brings risk. So without strong cybersecurity, data governance, and infrastructure, technology can become a liability rather than a tool for progress. So to Dr. BJ, digitalization without strong cybersecurity or infrastructure can be a major liability. What should a country like Indonesia do to ensure that digitalization strengthens rather than it becomes a liability for national security?
Well, the cybersecurity is very important. It contains a lot of contents, and which is, something that you don't want to show if unless it's necessary. So the protection is very important. But I think everybody's working on it, and there's a lot of method and protection going on. But I'd like to have two things about this cybersecurity. Whether number one is don't let this digital transformation slow down because of cybersecurity. Simply because the physics says that weak cybersecurity is better for the weak digital transformation is better for the cybersecurity. There's no evidence of it. Actually, if you look at what is going on, it's quite opposite. You have to have very strong understanding of digital and the transformation, and then your security can be strengthened. Second thing is that you should not ignore the importance of hardware. No matter what kind of protection and firewall you have, if you don't have secure hardware, you'll never get secure environment. Okay, so if you're completely relying on somebody else building a hardware for you, no software can really protect you. So those are very important two aspects we have to understand.
Thank you very much. So the first one is interesting. Even though it is a risk, don't slow down. Is that right? Right, on to Ibu Neneng. From your experience leading Grab, how can Indonesia better prepare to use digitalization as a tool for progress rather than a liability?
Okay. To ensure Indonesia can leverage digitalization to drive progress, I think there are three things that is very important. Number one is access, number two is education, and number three is security. So from access perspective, the Indonesia Internet Service Provider Association say that Indonesia internet penetration reached almost 80%. So it's pretty good for Indonesia. Then this indicates a strong potential for progress in driving economic growth and expanding the digital economy. So as internet penetration continues to expand, this is very good for MSME because the MSME will have greater opportunity for growth. So at the same time, this also increase the access to digital financial services and encouraging financial inclusion, which is very important for Indonesia. And the expansion to remote work and freelancing, this also creating income opportunities outside urban areas. So I give you example. The internet connection have a domino effect for livelihood and economy only from Grab apps. I just give you example. After COVID, 50% of our Grab's two-wheel driver was unemployed, did not have a source of income before joining Grab. 50%, that's actually a lot. And then since joining Grab platform, merchants, on average, they multiply their number of employees by 1.5. Now, on the security, if you think about it, growing internet access has brought both opportunities and also challenges. It's a good opportunity for people to access opportunity in terms of finding a job and everything. But at the same time, integrating digital and financial literacy is essential because without financial literacy, they have what we call judol and pinjol. So it's our job to basically educate everyone on the financial literacy. And from the security perspective, everyone needs to understand about privacy, data privacy. So what we have done, we work together with ComDigi, with BSSN, to have a seminar to make sure every company understand about data privacy. So those three things to me is very, very important to make sure that is not a liability for Indonesia.
Thank you very much, Ibu Neneng. That's also a great transition for our next topic. So beyond infrastructure, people and policies also play a very important part in digital transformation. Let's talk about digital literacy and data protection. How do we ensure that Indonesians are ready for this shift? So to Dr. Lee, relatively low digital literacy and data governance are responsible for many digital disruptions and often discourage digital adoption. What initiatives are needed to overcome this challenge, you think?
Yeah, I think the guest mentioned the cybersecurity issues a lot. To answer this question, firstly, I want to emphasize to use the digital technologies to improve our daily life, and to improve the working efficiency is not option. It's mandatory necessary. You have no choice in the new era. So secondly, but we cannot avoid the security issues because of the internet technology is not 100% perfect. There's some technical issues. So some bad guy tried to do something to increase the security issues. So I think we need to work together among the government, academia, industry to find a solution to improve that. So the first, I think the government need to define the rules. You know, I heard numbers about the moderator that now the internet penetration rate in Indonesia is about 80%. Yeah, so it's good. But I see another number. So it was reported that only less than 40% of the Indonesia people is good at use the technologies. So that means there is another 40% who connect the internet but is not aware of the technologies. So there is a very large population. Yeah, it's a good population for the bad guys. Yeah, to steal your money or give you some security issues. So that means the government need to define the rules, also the laws, how to protect the people to make sure that the bad guy will be punished if you do some issue. And second, I think the government need to make people aware that there's some kind of issue for you to connect internet. For example, in China, the central government define a cybersecurity week every year to organize so many activities and to make sure the people, for every people will know that the security issue might be happen, what's the typical security issue they will face when they use the internet and they do the technology, especially for the artificial intelligence. And I think there is another angle is for the industry. I'm not sure what's the current security industry in Indonesia, but now I think in the world, especially in Europe, America, and also in my home country, in China, there is a big security industry. They can work together to find the solution and fix the problem. Yeah, that's very important. Another thing that, and then the last one I want to emphasize that for the education. So for the university or the schools, even the primary schools need to educate the people. Yeah, let them know there is some kind of issue will be happen. Don't worry. Yeah, it's an ordinary life in the digital age, and you should do something to avoid that. Or when you face the problem, how to solve that. So that, I think it's very important to improve the awareness for the security issues for the people. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So in essence, various sectors do need to collaborate together. It's a multidisciplinary issue to be solved, as you mentioned. Now back to Ibu Neneng. Grab has been a key player in driving digital inclusion. What role do digital platforms like Grab play in improving digital literacy?
Okay, I know that even with the best infrastructure and cybersecurity, digitalization won't succeed if users don't understand how to protect themselves. So low digital literacy and weak data governance make users vulnerable to scams, fraud, and misinformation, and discouraging adoption. So in our platform, we push digital literacy to our drivers, partner, as well as merchant partners to make sure that they have a knowledge to leverage the current technology for their benefit to what we call Grab Academy. We educate them and on the fraud awareness, financial literacy, and cybersecurity best practice. So we partner, for example, we partnering with Microsoft in 2020. We trained more than 400,000 drivers in 234 cities on Microsoft products, which is improve their literacy, right? And then we also make sure that we work with MasterCard Academy in 2021 to 2023. And I'm very, very happy to say that one of our son of our drivers get international certification of cybersecurity, and he actually represent Indonesia in the global conference, global boot camp. He's very, very good. So there are 9, it's not many, but it's something, right? It's 9 of them, of our driver partners' children that get that cybersecurity international certification. That's not easy, right, Mr. Lee? I think it's difficult to get that cybersecurity. So I guess for our employee, we also run a GAI sprint so that everybody understand about it. And meanwhile, we also have platform such as OFO, and we give access to millions of users that have no access to financial services. And we give, again, the socialization, because socialization is important on both financial and digital literacy. And our digital bank, Super Bank, also actively educate our Grab merchants and drive partners on how to manage their finance digitally. So we have 16 financial literacy sessions. So far, Superbank has enabled more than 2.7 million Indonesians to open a digital saving account as of December 2024. So we give credit access to over 77,000 underbanked individuals in 3 months. And we give education and socialization on financial literacy because, as we all know, government cannot do it themselves, so it has to be together between government and private sectors.
Thank you very much, Ibu. That's very interesting to see a real-life example of public and private partnership, bringing along not just Grab, but also other stakeholders involved, like Microsoft, MasterCard, as well as Superbank. On to the next topic. To sustain long-term digital transformation, we need more than just adoption. We need investment, research, and collaboration between various industries to keep up with global advancements. So to Dr. BJ, as someone with deep industrial expertise, how can academia and industry work better together so that Indonesia remains competitive globally?
Like everything in the world, that the collaboration is happening from 2 parties, that one party should offer something the other party doesn't have, or the other party wants to have. You know, Dr. Lee is here in front representing the academia, that me representing the industry, that among many things that academia can offer to us, that probably one of the most important part is the continuous support of knowledge and the people containing those knowledge. So how do we utilize it? The important part is that is the knowledge relevant to the industry? And academia can provide more relevant knowledge to the industry, and that will enhance one side of the flux that we can do better. How do we do that? There are many ways, but starting point is like professors in academia, the educators have better understanding about what industry needs. Many different ways of making it work, but academia should open up the professorship to the people who have been in the industry long enough. So have the mixture of the culture will probably give us better of, say, end product. One of the idea, only if the thinking loud kind of idea, but you can branch out many different things in the theme of that. The end result is that we want to get somebody who has knowledge which can be applied and in the future to be more creative. Industry, on the other hand, can be better taking risk and applying those knowledges into the real world quicker. Industry has something to offer too. Industry we have to think through that, are we really taking risk? Is it really important? Can we afford to take a risk? Well, if something is coming from academia, industry has good role to improve the knowledge and improve the human capability. So both sides has a role and both sides has something to offer. If we focus on something to offer to the other side, then there's a lot more collaboration can happen. You cannot just just put them together and then you should work together. You put into the one room that if you don't, until you work together, you don't go out from the room, that doesn't work in the long term. So we have to develop the attractiveness to each other.
Thank you very much. And anything you want to say about what sort of industries can keep Indonesia competitive globally, you think? Any sort of bets that Indonesia can make?
Well, many things. And I think I hear this a lot of, say, digital, topic is digital transformation. I see a lot of digital economy is happening in Indonesia, in my short knowledge about Indonesia. And a lot of, things going on in the rest of the world is also going on here. So I see, I feel very comfortable that, all this say Grab, all this food, all this different digital economy is coming and going on here. And the investment is going on. I see some of this data center working very, very hard. And Pandu mentioned that AI is becoming the hot topic. One thing I still think a little bit of short, coming from my own territory, is that really the hardware represented by semiconductor. Indonesia should and can do a lot more in the semiconductor. We can do something that what is in front of us, which is making money, more business, which is visible. But we have to prepare for the future, okay? Preparing for the future, coming from good plan and good execution, right? When you make a good plan, you have to really understand what you're trying to do. Be realistic of what you're doing today, but be very ambitious what you're trying to do in the future, okay? If your goal is short, low, you will achieve only that much. Do many things that actually investment is not going to be a lot if you really invest on the people, if you really, if necessary, important people. In academia, in same topic, if I were making a plan here that if semiconductor is not very active here, then we'll start today by importing some professors. Because professors, academia tend to multiply the knowledge, right? Also, try to invest on research institute. They can actually come up with the more applicable ideas than academia, and support the industry who can take more risk. Earlier one, you don't have to do big way. You have to come up with a good plan and come up with a good execution plan. But most important thing is you have to start now.
Thank you very much, Dr. BJ. Now on to Papandu. In Indonesia, what's missing? More investment, more research, or better regulations?
I think with Pak BJ, we had a good conversation the past 2 days, and I probably echo the best thing is to have the right purpose first. What's the aim? And if you talk about capital, I think a lot of the capital are already here, right? But the capital also want to find a place where on a risk adjusted, it makes good return. But more importantly, good return with the right big picture purpose. So you talk about Indonesia, the last 10 years, we've been very fortunate that a lot of our natural resources have turned out very well. And we've had a very good downstream programming, downstreaming, which actually created quite a good positive economic effect. But the one thing we don't discuss as much is actually our human capital, SDM. We always talk about SDA, right? Sumber daya alam, which is our resource. Here, this forum, this is actually essentially all the human capital being put here. So that's why we talk a lot about what is the global trend, and we're all trying to fit into a pigeonhole. Will it work in Indonesia? What Indonesia should think, and all of us should think, especially for me as Indonesians, is where do we want to go? What is Indonesia? They call it 2045 or whatever, 2075, etc., etc. How long can we rely on natural resources? So, you're asking me a question, I'm asking a question back, posing it, because that's really the fundamental discussion, right? The fundamental issue. So we talk about digitalization, we talk about AI, the adoption, which has been very good on the business side. So I can talk about the positive side. Let me talk a little bit about the scary side. Who will be more powerful in 10 years? Businesses or government? Because the businesses are investing so much into technology and AI vis-a-vis the government. If you talk about AI development, especially when you talk about open AIs or that like the DeepSeek, etc., the progression is measured in months. Somebody mentioned to me about Moore's Law. Is Moore's Law still applicable in AI? The question, I don't know, right? Well, Nick Nash is here, probably knows better than me. He's my classmate and very good in terms of researching this thing. But, these are fundamental questions. If you are, say, in the government, who will be more powerful in the next 10 to 15 years, right? The development in the US is actually going to be a footprint or a similar blueprint to other countries. So, I feel, to be honest, if you are now sitting as leaders in your businesses, it's actually a very hard conversation. It is not capital. My view, it's about purpose. Where are you going next? So the most important questions for all of you, your businessmen, businesswomen, business leaders, start thinking, what does technology mean for my industry here? To be honest, protectionist measure is very limited. It'll go away. Because that should not be your business mode, protectionism, especially for Indonesians, right? We like to think that way sometimes, to protect our business. But that will only be for very short term, and it will stunt our overall growth. You have to think, what is the purpose? So for you, like you, Nadia, you have to also say, hey, where should Indonesia grow? Where should Indonesia go? What does AI or technological advancement mean? Why should we have semiconductor industry? What does that mean? When you talk about Indonesian diaspora, why are they all working abroad and not working here? So I asked Dr. BJ, I said, the reason why I said, I'm trying to attract you to come here and invest is to have the Indonesian diaspora to come back to Indonesia because they don't have the right jobs for their skill set here. So these are fundamental questions. Better leave it as a question, especially because we've had a day and a half of forum. But, purpose is probably the most important question.
Thank you very much, Papandu. And I think I'd want to add as well, Indonesia is very blessed, right, with natural resources that maybe we can also take a sit back and really ponder on these questions, these very fundamental questions that Papandu were just talking about. Thank you very much for sharing. So we've covered Indonesia's digital transformation journey, but where do we stand in the global tech race? Emerging technologies like AI, quantum computing, and automation are rapidly redefining industrial competitiveness. The question is, how can Indonesia ensure it remains relevant, competitive, and not left behind? So to Bapak Wilson Cuaca, with the rise of disruptive AI technologies like DeepSeek, how do you see AI adoption shaping the startup ecosystem and the investment landscape? What are the opportunities and challenges for Indonesia?
The recent development of DeepSeek actually triggered a lot of things in our investment thesis because it seems like the history repeats itself. This is a Jevons paradox. It occurs when the technology advancement actually becomes cheaper, the adoption will increase dramatically. When we started East Ventures a decade ago, we come up with a thesis about mobile internet. During that time, Android actually fighting against iPhone. Open source, unsecure, cheap, nobody want to use it, they said. But it's not true. Because it's cheap, everybody use it. That is the paradox. OpenAI has been one of the leading AI company, and then they develop a lot of stuff with their ChatGPT. Actually, it makes AI available to everyone. And then suddenly, DeepSeek come in, the cost is only 10% of OpenAI. That's what they claim. And the cost for them to develop it itself is really cheap. I think there will be a massive adoption of AI because of this. However, if you compare to a decade ago and today, early on I talked about lucky. Why Indonesia lucky a decade ago? It's because we are operating in a very low interest rate environment. Money is cheap. And those money come to Indonesia, we can deploy it, educate the users, which is always the most expensive go-to-market strategy to educate the users. We can invest a lot of company, we can invest a lot of founders. Now founders, it's not only the first-time founders, we have serial entrepreneur in the country. But in this AI era where everything becomes cheap, the money itself to invest is not that cheap anymore because of the high interest rate. So the way we invest will change, but the concept of investing is a disruptive kind of like tech cycle is important. When I say tech cycle, it means that every 10 to 15 years, there's always one or two kind of like tech innovation that will drive and change the all users' behavior. And I think AI will be the one. So where's Indonesia in this, in this position? Are we going to go directly into semiconductor? No, we don't have a talent. Are we going into creating our own foundational model? No, we don't have a talent. But be pragmatic, like what BJ say. Pragmatic today, but dream further. Be pragmatic, just use whatever available. But always remember that one day, while we are building this, we build the talents, we attract people come in, we attract the funding come in. We hope that we can build an ecosystem, and one day we can do everything in-house. I think that is the approach, the pragmatic approach that we can do now.
Thank you very much, Baba Wilson. And to Dr. Lee, with disruptive technologies like AI and quantum computing, how can Indonesia avoid being left behind?
So I'm not sure what's the really meaningful the left behind for Indonesia. So I think there is two layers. Yeah, one for the application, one for the fundamental technical research. So I think it's such as the artificial intelligence or quantum computing or some other advanced technologies. To do the fundamental research is very difficult. You need to invest a lot, and also lack of the money, lack of the talent, lack of the technology, lack of knowledge. Yeah. So now in the world, there's only some of the country have such kind of capability to do such kind of things, especially for United States. But for application, I think it's for Indonesia, such a country with very big population, you should try to embrace the new technologies, especially you mentioned artificial intelligence and quantum computing, so many new technologies. So I can give an example, just like people. I was born in a small city in China. So my parents have no better education. They never go to college. So, but my parents want me to be success. So they gave me an opportunity to send me to the university, the famous university. Of course, eventually I'm the professor for Tsinghua University. So how to make sure myself, yeah, after 20s, to be a good people, or maybe some kind of talent in China. They try to send me to the good school, good university, to make sure you can learn from some very good teachers, and to learn so many knowledge from the library or just from the teacher directly. I think it's for every country or city, it's very similar as ordinary people. How to grab the opportunity to learn and try, to learn and try. So I think it's, even you mentioned DeepSeek, I think it's a very fantastic story in China now. Almost everybody wants to use that. I do believe 1.4 billion people in China, more than 1 billion people know this DeepSeek in China now. There's so many people want to adopt that. I do believe with the more than 50 million enterprise in China, 99% of the company have no resources to develop the similar technology for DeepSeek, but try to use that. It's very interesting, yeah, because it's very easy to integrate the technology into the current system, even in your computer. So my suggestion is try to adopt the new technology. And another thing that I want to give a suggestion for Indonesia. You know, for so many countries, especially for Indonesia, you have a very large population. It's one of the largest population in the world. So that means it's a big market. Try to open the market, work together with the private sectors. Because the private sector, especially for the global private sector industry, they have the technology, money, investment, and also talent. So to open the market and bring the technology into the country and new technologies. And then maybe after 5 or 10 years, you will get so many talents who are educated. And then they will have a connection with the world, with the community for the advanced technologies and industry, also investment. So they will bring back so many money, talent, knowledge, and to develop this area. So I think the open market is very, very important. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Actually, maybe one follow-up question, and this is to anyone as well, right? We talked a lot about human capital, and you mentioned we have to embrace new technology, even the people itself here. But sometimes new technology can be pretty daunting because it can actually replace some jobs, right? Especially if we look at, you know, all the ChatGPT, all the AIs, right? They replace actually entry-level jobs. So how can we actually nurture new technologies when it can actually be a threat to some entry-level jobs?
Of course, yeah. I think it's definitely will be replace a lot of job opportunities. Yeah, when we bring digital technology into our life, because we are lazy, we don't want to work a lot. So we want the machine to do a lot. So that means in the society, they will replace so many jobs, especially for artificial intelligence. There's a lot of argument how AI will not replace the job of the human. I think that the new technology, especially for the artificial intelligence, will replace the human resource without the knowledge of the AI. Will not replace the human being. So that means that people need to learn how to use the technologies and to grab the new job opportunities, just like the drivers, right? So the car replaced the horse. So we need new car drivers. So in China, we have the e-commerce. The one big platform creates over 10 million people for delivery. So there's a new job opportunities. So to make sure that how make sure people to believe that new technology will bring the new opportunity for them. So it's very important. Don't worry about that.
Thank you very much. And that is our last question. So as we wrap up, it's clear that digital transformation, it's not just about adopting technology. It's about building secure infrastructure, fostering investment, and ensuring Indonesia stays competitive on a global scale. Moving forward, Indonesia must ensure that digital transformation is not just rapid, it's inclusive, sustainable, and also globally competitive. So huge thank you to our panelists for sharing their insights. Let's please give a round of applause. and to all of you for being such an important part of the conversation. Let's continue to push for a digital economy that works for everyone, and see you in the next discussion.
Thank you very much, moderator Nadia Habibi, and let's give a big round of applause to our speakers. Moderator. Yep. All right, and we'll invite everyone to just kindly step forward a little bit, one step or two, yes. And just a token of appreciation for all of you, we have something from IBC. And on this occasion, we'd like to invite once again IBC board, Mr. William Sabandar, to deliver the token of appreciation. All right, maybe photo session first. Yes, and here are the token of appreciation to all of our speakers this afternoon. Well, digital transformation will give huge impact on all types of development that happens in one country, and hopefully Indonesia will also be in that race. All right, once again, let's have picture together with the, yes, with the placards. All right, give a big round of applause. Thank you.